Hello everyone, ockpii here, and today I have another Starbound video for you guys. The team has been quite active in posting screenshots and all of that. So today I have 4 images to discuss with you guys and a GIF. Enjoy! Right, so let's get right on it. So the first image is this one, which it's kind of dark, so let me just brighten it up for you a bit. Okay, much better. So, what we see on this image here is, first of all, Ty, or the player, is finally wearing a new armor. As you can see, it has a different hair as well, so it might not be Ty. Now, what we see here is that there are 2 torches in this hill. The torches are looking quite cool. They seem to be like stacks of rocks with just a flame on them, which is actually quite nice. And you see that the way they light up the tree is quite interesting, because it seems that it's almost as if the trees were 3D, and it knew what leaves were in front of other leaves. So there's kind of a fake perspective there, which actually is quite cool. Also, you can see that there are a bunch of mushrooms on the image as well. These are much bigger than the ones we've been seeing. And finally, it seems to be a blood moon. So, yes. Moving on to the next image, now we've got the cobalt armor again, and as you can see, the torch seems to be made out of that purple dirt that's on the planet. So maybe it's like King Arthur's gold, where you have to build back walls so that they can stand something up. So I don't know if that's the case, but if it is, that's interesting. But I still don't know if this game will actually have a proper physics engine. Nevertheless, the torch is looking quite cool, and let me just brighten this up a bit so you guys can see that this is a tree. It seems like a cloud tree or a cotton candy tree almost, and you can see that the sky is red once more. Moving on to the last image I was going to cover before I went to the forums this morning. This is more of those cotton candy trees that we just seen, and as you can see, they look quite cool. They seem to have some thorns on their trunk. And you can see a green mountain up the distance and the pinkish sky, and it seems that there's a volcano, because as you can see there's a ring of smoke around that mountaintop, even though you can't really see it. So maybe this is a volcanic area, which will explain why all the trees and all this background is covered in puffs of smoke. Maybe it's a volcanic area, it's active, and everything is covered in dust. That's interesting. As you can see, you have the cobalt armor once more. I'm calling it cobalt armor. That's not the official name, okay? That's just me calling it something. So this isn't Terraria. Moving on! Okay, so the next image and the GIF that's following it have an interesting story. I was going to the forums this morning to see what people had been saying about these 3 images that I've just showed you, so that I could enrich my video for you guys. Turns out they didn't say much, but on the thread where those 3 images were posted, I found 2 more images, which was a very, very nice surprise. And that's why I have 2 more images to show you guys instead of just 3. So, let's get right on it. This is the image right here, and it looks quite cool. So let me just point out the basic stuff first. He's wearing a new armor, which seems to have some sort of tail, or maybe that's just a tree. Yeah, that's just a tree. Never mind, doesn't have a tail. But it's kind of rust color and has green parts. So I have no idea what that could mean. I have no idea what the blue armor means, but I'm looking forward to knowing what these armors mean. Again, this is the Furious George here, so maybe this is George testing the game once more finally. So yes, we have new people here. Also, you can see that he's standing on a rock structure, or rock-like thing, or a metal thing, maybe. And this is probably either crafted block by block, or it's a blueprint that you put down, or it's something that's randomly generated. Either way, you can see that each tile has the same height, so it's plausible that he crafted it block by block. We don't know. But then we need to explain how these subdivisions work, if that's part of the texture, or who knows? Also, we have new trees here, and it's kind of cool that you can see in between the leaves and see kind of the twigs and branches and all that. I think it's good detail, and I think these are the dynamic trees that are randomly generated. But some of them still have the problem of not looking complete on the branches on the upper part. I don't know why that is, but then again, the game's not out yet, so it's fine. Looking at the background, the sky is kind of yellow and the clouds are kind of blue, and you have 3 blue planets or moons that we have seen before. You have green mountains off in the distance, and you have gray mountains with bluish, grayish snow on top of them. And you can see that we have another layer of background on the left there, where we have a brownish mount. Also, this image is filled with mushrooms, and about mushrooms and things like that, Ty said something very interesting. He said that there were going to be mini biomes, so like biomes within biomes, so a field of roses, a mushroom patch, an overgrown pool, things like that, and they will be generated in themselves as well, so that's really cool. And it seems that they are giving a lot of attention to the structure of the world, more so than game dynamics maybe, but that's at least where they're showing us. It's very interesting. They're really showing some concern for making the game world look real and feel real and dynamic each time you play, so that's nice. Also, the trees on the background now match the trees on the foreground. That may just be for this particular case, that may just be something that's already implemented, but either way, these match. Say for the cabbage trees here that don't really match the color, but that's fine. Also, something I've been meaning to point out on the other images, you can see that the soil is kind of bland, because as you can see, you have dirt and you have a consistent patch of rock. And at the moment, that's pretty much all we've seen, and the dirt is kind of overpowered and killing everything else. I don't know why that is, but I'm sure if they mentioned ores and things like that, this is really just because it's an alpha version. That being said, I would love to see some underground pictures of like ores and crystals and minerals and drills and whatnot. Or maybe a driller, like a big mecha where you drill stuff with. Yay! And if you take a closer look at the structure, it seems that it's gone through the grass in some sort of graphical glitch. I don't know if I was supposed to point that out, but hey, that's what I'm here for. Finally, we're at the GIF. And first of all, let me just show you what it is. 3, 2, 1, unfold. Yes. Okay, so this is what Ro said about it. Devil Bro asked, is this going to be in-game? And Ro says, probably yes. Maybe they can be things you can make yourself and let loose on the station. And the point is that they're useless. So just something to keep you entertained after those long nights of exploring planets. Or maybe you can take them with you. And it can shoot its final... Yeah, this is the only thing that can defeat the final boss that I mentioned in the last video. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. I talk about the final boss, and this is the cannon that takes care of that final boss. This is the only thing that takes care of that final boss. And if you're curious, this is actually a IRL thing, and I'm going to put a link in the description of this thing in action in real life. So make sure to check that out. And that's the end of the video, and it's kinda long, so I'm gonna make this outro short. So take care guys, check out these two videos, important links will be in the description, and I'll see you later. Goodbye!